Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about one of the most important issues in the entire game of Battlefield 2042 that has been prevalent ever since the playtest, the beta, and even until right now. The issue I'm talking about is the fact that the mouse input itself is bugged. The problem with this issue, when explaining it to people or trying to show it to people, is that it is almost impossible to explain to somebody if you don't already know what I'm talking about. And generally speaking, the people that do understand what I'm talking about when it comes to me saying, oh, there's something wrong with the mouse input, there's something wrong with the way the mouse feels, generally speaking, those players that already understand that are the highly skilled players. And unfortunately, and I swear I'm not knocking the majority of the player base here, but unfortunately the majority of the player base that play really any FPS game are not highly skilled when it comes to aiming. So this issue is really not being talked about at large, but it remains one of the most important issues that continues to play the game for not only skilled players, but for every single player on mouse and keyboard. Because while some people might not be able to tell that there's something wrong, there is still something wrong. And before we get too far in the video, I just want to dispel this misconception that the latest update fixed the mouse input, because it absolutely did not. It did not fix the mouse input. It is still absolutely bugged. There's still something wrong. All the latest update did was make it so the Battlefield 5 sensitivity numbers are now the numbers you use in Battlefield 2042. And the reason they did that is to make it easier to cross between titles, so you're not using a bunch of different sensitivity numbers for, a bunch of different Battlefield games. But anyway, what is actually wrong with Battlefield 2042's mouse input? Well, for starters, one of my good friends, Beyerdynamic, who I would consider to be probably one of the best people at identifying a game's sensitivity values and messing around with settings to a T, making everything as perfect as possible. Very, very early on in Battlefield 2042, he touched the mouse, I think, twice, and he said, something is wrong. And this was during the playtest, the first time I ever played with him. He immediately identified something was wrong and spent the next, I think, 5 hours messing around with every setting possible to try to find something that affected mouse input consistently. And what he did is, he took a tape measure, he took all sorts of different things to measure sensitivity, and he found that controller settings, some controller settings in Battlefield 2042, affected your sensitivity on mouse and keyboard. And of course, with these findings, he made a video, and he actually found some settings that he felt was a sort of a band-aid, quote-unquote, fix for the mouse input, and this video actually has like 70,000 views or something. I'll link it in the description so you can watch it. But the point is, controller settings should absolutely never be affecting mouse and keyboard settings. So there is something wrong there, as well as there's also some sort of mouse movement recorder technology that people have been posting on Twitter with Battlefield 2042, and when people take measurements or do a test of Battlefield 2042's mouse input, there's just a bunch of errors that they get within this software. And my understanding is when you run this sort of test on a normal video game, the software should show all green all the way down with absolutely nothing going wrong with it. It should be solid green, no red, no black. And with Battlefield 2042, it's green and then red, black. It's just all over the place. So again, more evidence of there being something drastically wrong with this game's mouse input. And my personal opinion on what is wrong with this game, or just how I describe how it feels, is it feels like sometimes I'm kiting my mouse rather than aiming with it. And this is a sensation I've never encountered in any other game ever. There is almost an indescribable feeling going on when you're playing this game. It's almost as if the mouse is shutting off sometimes for, like, I'm talking extremely small amounts of time. Maybe like a tenth of a second, couple tenths of a second. But even that little time that the mouse might stop responding or sending information to the game, that can make you miss a couple bullets. That can make it feel like your mouse is not moving where you want it to. Additionally, input lag is definitely part of the problem with Battlefield 2042, but I want to maintain that it is absolutely not why the mouse feels the way it does. There is something deeper clearly going on within Battlefield 2042, because I know what playing with input lag feels like. I used to stream Battlefield 5 with 55 FPS, and even with that low of an FPS, my aim still didn't feel as bad as it does in Battlefield 2042. Now, with that being said, input lag is still definitely an additional factor to why the game does not feel as good for everybody, because Battlefield 2042 as a game actually has quite a bit of input lag. For instance, Someone told me recently that there was a video that, unfortunately, I tried to find it. I could not find it. But Apex Legends apparently has less than half of the average input lag than Battlefield 2042 does, which is insane if you think about it. And because I found this mouse issue so prevalent, I decided to reach out personally to some developers just to see if I can get some responses, and maybe I could suggest some things to them. And surprisingly enough, I actually did get a few responses back. I will not name these developers, but they kept asking me what mouse I was using. And I'm going to be honest, I switch mice about every like 3 days. So I found that question very strange because it's not the mouse. It is clearly the game. So their responses did not in any way increase my confidence levels as to whether or not this issue will be fixed. And I fully understand that some people in the comments are just going to be like, oh, Enders, your aim is just dog shit, You know, the gameplay in the background is completely fine, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. And I understand that some people are going to say that because, like I said at the beginning of this video, not everyone is actually going to be able to identify the issue. Like I said, most of the people that are complaining about this right now are the highly skilled players that are highly sensitive to stuff like this. But just because that's the case, once again, does not mean that it doesn't affect everyone else, because it absolutely affects everyone else. The only difference is some people are not able to identify it. And I'm not trying to ego on people, I'm not trying to put people down, I'm just trying to raise awareness for this issue, because I feel it is one of the most important issues in the entire game, and people should be talking about it and actively trying to get it fixed and get to the bottom of it. Because at this point, we're playing an FPS game where the mouse doesn't fucking represent what you're actually trying to do with your aim. And if that is allowed to stay unfixed, I don't know if I want to continue to play FPS games. At least not Battlefield, for that matter. So, please let me know in the comments, have you experienced the same feeling? If you have, do you think I'm getting to the bottom of it? Do you think Beyerdynamic has some good points? Do you think the mouse movement recorder has some good points? What do you think is going on in the game? Do you think it's purely input lag? Do you think it's something deeper? I would love to hear you guys' feedback. And yeah, just wanted to raise some awareness on this issue. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous that I even have to make a video about this. But if they're not going to fix it, I'm going to make videos about this probably every month. So I will see you guys in the next one. And yeah, let me know what you think.